What's up guys, today we'll be going over all the new Leviathan mods in Season of Opulence, then also the Hive mods with that, which are also the Season of Opulence mods. And there are a lot of them, 15 to be exact, and we'll be breaking down what they do and which ones are the best to use. Because you can only use 4 at a time if you're using exotic, as you see right here. All exotics do not have a Season of Opulence mod slot, so you can only use 4 at a time with an exotic. So it's going to be very important to narrow down which ones are the best because you're very limited on how many you can use at a time. It's important to note that all of these mods are from the old Leviathan set, but the difference now is you can use them in any slot, and they can only be used on Leviathan, so that's Menagerie, all the raids, and things like that. Then the Hive ones, which there are 4 of them, you can use anywhere in Destiny, just like the previous Fallen and Taken versions of these mods. So those you can use anywhere, but still you can only slot them on armor with Season of Opulence mod slots. And in this video, I'm going to be using the old Leviathan armor, which has the exact same mods, just so it's easier, because I don't have them all on my account yet. So first, with the Largesse perks, while on the Leviathan, activating a solar super recharges your grenade. So this one's pretty straightforward. You can throw your grenade, activate a super, then you have your grenade back. And I don't think it's as good as it used to be. Back in the day with, Top Tree Nova and Skull, and other builds similar to that, you were using your super a lot, so, you would be getting your grenade back every time you activate your super. But now with all those being nerfed in a way, it's not quite as good as it used to be. But if you're still using a build where you're going to be using your super a lot, I can see it being useful, but overall one of the worst Leviathan mods. So next up will be all the old Gauntlet mods: Striking Hand, Shielding Hand, then also Giving Hand. So first with Shielding Hand, while on the Leviathan, melee kills reduce incoming damage by 20%. So once again, this one's pretty straightforward. Once you get a melee kill, you get Shielding Hand for 10 seconds, and every time you get another melee kill after that, it'll reset the timer back to 10 seconds, and that reduces incoming damage by 20%, which is a huge percent and very useful in Menagerie and the raid if you have trouble staying alive. Next will be Striking Hand. While on the Leviathan, melee kills increase all damage by 20%, so pretty much the same thing. You get a melee kill, proc the perk for 10 seconds, which will increase all of your weapon damage by 20% for that 10 seconds, which is really good for boss encounters. You're going to easily proc this perk before shooting at a boss with your power weapon, or even during ad clear. It's very easy to get a melee kill real quick and get that 20%. Last will be Giving Hand, which is while in Leviathan, melee kills have a chance to make enemies drop heavy ammo, which back in the day before rally banners and things like that, this was the best mod to use in Leviathan. But now with rally banners and also armaments of Hive, Fallen, and Taken, you kind of don't really need this anymore. And since it's only a chance, compared to all those other things which are consistent, this is only a chance. Then also it only drops a small box of heavy and not a full box of heavy once you actually get it. Now for the old chest mod, Heavy Hitter, or what is now called Power Overwhelming. While in Leviathan, defeating a challenging enemy with a power weapon boosts power weapon damage by 15% for a short time. So this is only 15% compared to all the other things that were like 20 or 25 before. But once you kill a yellow bar enemy with a power weapon, you get this perk for a very, very long time. As you see right here, it lasts for 30 seconds. So that's very easy to proc before shooting at a boss. Then you have it for pretty much the entire boss damage phase. It's only 15%, but you have it for so long, it's definitely like a must-have mod. The other similar mod is Energized, which is pretty much the exact same thing, but for energy weapons. And instead of yellow bars, it's now on red bars. So this works really well with Recluse or Loaded Question. So first, looking at how this perk works, just like Power Overwhelming, it is going to be that 15%, but now it's only for 10 seconds because it only takes a red bar kill to get it. So obviously it's a lot easier to get and maintain because every time you get a red bar kill with energy weapon, it will refresh the timer back to 10 seconds. So with something like Recluse that is already like a shredding machine, it's just even that much better now, and you probably use Recluse all the time for ad clear in Leviathan, so why not do that? Or if you use my favorite build with Loaded Question, you're going to be using Loaded Question a lot, and in the raid it can almost one-shot all the majors, and now with Energized procs for that 10 seconds, you'll have no issue one-shotting all the majors in the raid, which is very good. Now for the old class item perks that increase ability damage by 25%, we're then go ahead and use the solar one on Well of Radiance, and this mod does a lot of things. So increases all of your ability damage, which is things like grenades. As you see right here, this grenade is hitting 566. Now if I go ahead and put the mod on and throw another grenade, it now hits 707, which is, that 25% more. Then on top of that, without anything, I hit 480 with my Huckleberry. Now putting in a well down without the mod on, my Huckleberry now hits 648, which is 35% more, which is standard for well. Now with the mod on and well, I now hit 810, which is 68.75% increase. So that mod also buffs the actual buff from Well Radiance itself, so that is almost like a must-have. And there's a rumor that if you use one of the new mods and also one of the old bonds with the perk on it, it would stack. And that is not true. I just think people didn't even realize that this happened in the first place, and it's always happened. So that's definitely a big trick in Menagerie in the raid. Moving on to the new Hive mods, first with Hive Barrier. Anytime you take damage from a Hive enemy, you get 20% damage resistance from incoming attacks for 10 seconds. And every time you get hit, it refreshes the timer back up to 10 seconds. So once again, if you're having issues staying alive in Menagerie or the raid, that is pretty much a perk that you will have procced at all times in both of those scenarios, so that could help you greatly. Next is Hive Invigoration. Defeating a challenging Hive enemy refreshes your class ability, and this is up there with one of the worst new Season of Opulence mods, because using a mod slot just to get your class ability back isn't the brightest idea ever. It's definitely not worth over a lot of the other mods we have available. Next up is Hive Repurposing. Destroying a Hive shield refreshes your grenade ability. And once again, this one isn't too important either because there aren't that many shields on the Hive race. It's mostly just, you know, wizards and some knights here and there. And in Menagerie and the raid, there are almost none. There are a few wizards with shields and a few encounters in Menagerie, but overall there aren't that many. But if you get one of these, make sure to hang on to it, because as we saw with 0 Hour and Fallen repurposing, that became very important because there were shields everywhere, and that then meant that you could pair it with Fallen armaments and pretty much have infinite heavy ammo. So definitely hang on to one of these mods if you get it. As of right now, it's pretty much not worth using, but in the future, if there's an activity with a lot of Hive shields, it could be very useful. Last but not least, Hive armaments, which as the Fallen and Taken previous armaments works, whenever you nade a Hive enemy, you get 1 pack worth of heavy ammo right away, guaranteed on the first kill. Then just like the previous Taken / Fallen combo you could do before, you can now use Hive armaments paired with Taken armaments and kill any enemy that is both Taken and Hive at the same time and proc both of them with 1 kill. So now as you see on a Taken Thrall, I get 10, which is both perks at the same time. And there are Taken Thrall pretty much anywhere in the game there is Taken, so you can do that combo very often. So which 4 am I using? I'm using Hive armaments number 1. Number 2, I'm using Power Overwhelming or Energized based on what I'm doing. If I'm doing Ackler, Energized. If I'm doing a boss encounter, Power Overwhelming. So eventually once I get these mods on my account, I'm going to have 2 chest pieces with both of these perks, that way I can swap between them depending on what I'm doing. So that is the first 2 I'm going to be using. Now for the third mod, I'm going to be using Emperor's Blaze, which is the one that increases ability damage on solar subclasses, and that also increases Well Radiance's buff up to 68.75%. So that's pretty much mandatory in Menagerie and the raid on Warlock. And the final mod I'm going to be using is Striking Hand, which is the 20% increase to damage after a melee kill, which is very good for boss encounters, ad clear, all the above. It's very easy to get a melee kill pretty often in both Menagerie and the raid and get that 20% more damage for whatever you're doing. So in my opinion, those are the best 4 mods to be using in both Menagerie and the raid, and the ones I'm going to be sticking to once I get them all on my account. Now there are some other good options that might be better in some scenarios. For example, Heroic Menagerie, if it's extremely hard, using something like Shielding Hand and Hive Barrier might be very important, because if you proc both of those perks, you will have a 40% damage reduction, which could be huge and game changing and help you stay alive. But for just normal general play in Menagerie or the raid, the 4 I mentioned are definitely my picks for the best 4 in the game. So I'd say the only thing that's annoying about these Season of Opulence mods is the fact that you can pretty much only use 4 at a time with an exotic, which means if you're using Hive armaments, you actually only have 3 Leviathan mods. So I'd actually like to see the Hive mods just be regular mods and regular slots, just like, you know, the Fallen and Taken ones. That way you could actually be using 4 Leviathan ones, and you could put the Hive armaments in a regular slot, or even on your exotic if you wanted to. I don't really see the reasoning behind having them in the Season of Opulence slot when the similar mods from previous raids are just regular. It doesn't really make too much sense to me, but either way, that is what we were given, and those are how all the mods work. And the 4 I will be using is Hive Armaments, Striking Hand, Energized, or Power Overwhelming, then Emperor's Blaze. Anyways, let me know which mods you guys have, which ones you've been using, which ones do you want to get in the future, and what would be your perfect build for Season of Opulence mods. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.